Pro Series podcast is shifting gears. Instead of expert interviews, we're talking with school leaders about the moments that led them into education and what is currently sustaining their career. These conversations are not just about expertise. They are about the experience and people behind the job. We will hear honest stories, small wins, real challenges, and the tools or tricks helping them keep their heads above water. Each episode shares a glimpse of what it takes to lead a school and stay human in the process. Today's guest is Danielle Mack, the CEO of Ethos Classical in Atlanta, Georgia. Danielle's journey has taken her from teaching math through Teach for America to building college access programs in Chicago, to now leading a thriving K-8 charter school where her own children are enrolled. In our conversation, she shares how she centers joy and community in her leadership, the challenges and opportunities of growing to multiple campuses, and why she believes active listening and whole child development are at the heart of great schools. You're going to love hearing her perspective on balancing school leadership and motherhood, and what it looks like to truly build community. Here's my conversation with Danielle Mack. Hi, Danielle.
Hello. How are you?
I'm well. Welcome to the CheckBox Pro Series.
Yes, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. And for our listeners, I just found out that this is her first ever podcast. I'm known to be a really tough interviewer. That's the feedback I've gotten from my guests is
okay.
Real hard hitting questions, like to back my guests into corners, real controversial. I mean, let's be honest, there's lots of controversial things we could be talking about right now, but we're going to keep that. This is not the show. This is not the show. So,
well, I stay ready. School leader, I stay ready. I'm fine.
I was about to say, you do have kids running around you all day. So if anybody's prepared, it's you school leaders. So, well, perfect. Well, the first question I always want to jump in is, I give folks the high level, your LinkedIn bio, that kind of stuff. But I love to just hear from the leader themselves of how did you get into education and how long have you been in education? And just give us a little bit of a backdrop on who Danielle Mack is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that I chose the field of education as young as 10. I remember having pretend classrooms and educating my teddy bears or my friends. They didn't find it as fun, but I had a ball grading their papers and organizing my materials. My favorite time of the year, it's not a holiday, but the first day of school was just my countdown day. When I went to college at WashU, that was my major. So I knew education was for me, but I didn't know what it would look like. So it evolved from wanting to be a doctor and kind of teaching people how to be sound doctors. And then it went to be wanting to be a psychologist and teaching people how, so teaching was always in the core of what I wanted to do, or educating them. And once I graduated from college, I taught 7th grade math through Teach for America. And my 7th graders changed what I thought to be true about teaching. And so instead, I pivoted to the field of higher ed because I preached, go to college. That was, my way of finding my passion and finding my community. But I actually felt so not credible because when they would say, well, how do I do it? I would say, I don't know. Let's go back to the math. And so I left the classroom to go and recruit for WashU and learn truly what does it mean to access college, because for me to empower and excite kids, I need to know what that means in every single chapter of their educational lives. So I made it my business to learn what does it mean to get into college and support college students. Then I moved to Chicago and built a college access, college team for a charter school there for 5 years. So I worked with high schoolers. And what I realized is that my heart was back in elementary. So I moved down here to Atlanta to join our founder in opening Ethos Classical, because in my mind at that time now I had children and I wanted to build a school that was in my own kids too. So that's my journey.
Oh, I love that. And I've had a colleague who did the reverse, right? They started at higher ed and realized how ill-equipped she was having a lot of her students. And so she slowly inched her way back down to middle school, and which is, it's a hard swing to come from working with adults down to littles, or middle schoolers. They're a special breed. We love them. But so now in elementary school, and then I think you said a couple of your kiddos, your own personal children, are with you.
They are. Yes, they love it most of the times.
I
I
was
think
about
it's
to
like a
say.
60-40 percentage of
So you
enjoyment.
truly did found a school that, yeah, that you would send your own kids to. And
Yeah,
what a
absolutely. They've been here.
testament.
Thank you. Thank you. They're in third and fourth grade now. They've been here since kindergarten. And I really like appreciate that lens of understanding like what does it mean to be a parent in a community and what does it mean
Yeah.
to be a school leader?
Love that. Love that. Okay, well, since we're on the topic of your organization, and I want to get to know it a little bit more and just your role within it, but tell us, because, obviously every day is filled with its own challenges and its own rewards. And so what's going on right now within your organization that you are just feeling like really proud of, beside the fact that you are willing to send your children there? What's something else that's happening?
Yeah, so Ethos Classical is a magical place. It's a magical place, and it's not just created by one person. It is truly bringing together parents, scholars, educators who want to do school differently, especially to honor the amazing children that are in our school buildings. So I say buildings because this is our first year where we have two campuses. So historically, we've been a K through 5 school, and about a year and a half ago, our families demanded a middle school, and I say that with love and care because initially we said no, 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 no middle school. But we decided that there is something unique about building the confidence of a child and then sending them off to middle school and hoping for the best. And when they're used to certain things in a schoolhouse and they don't get that in those really transformational years of identity and how do they fit in socially, somewhat unravels the things that we have put together for them for so many years. So we decided to go through middle school. So this is our first year with a K through 4 campus and then a middle school campus. And I'm so proud of how our team, our families, our scholars are navigating that transition. It is not beautiful and it is not perfect, but it is a really beautiful sight to see families come into the schoolhouse and say, here's what's going well. Here's
Mhm.
what's feeling a little murky. And we as educators saying that is valid and so is that. So what can we do together to make it even better? Since we built that foundation of communication, transparency, and care. So I would say I'm really proud of how our community is responding to transition. It's not always pretty or textbook, but there is this underlying theme of we want to make this better together.
Yeah. Follow-up question there. Do y'all have like an act? Is this informal, right? Where you're just like getting feedback from families, or is there a formal thing you've put into place, whether it's a committee or just an active PTA? Like, what does that look like for y'all's community?
Yeah, so there's all kinds of ways our families are engaged in the school. We have, of course, virtual, so we meet virtually. It's called Joy Squad. Everything is joy related because joy is a choice. So we have Joy Squad where they come together as an entire school community and we think about what's happening now, what do we want to happen in the future. We also have things like today, which is Morning Joy, where we have families come into the building to learn academic tools for their scholar and also
Oh,
share their feedback about how the academic experience is landing on their scholar and their families. So those are two of the really big ones. We also have Joy Council. Joy Council, that's the crew of families who are like, we are happy, we are good. Now we're ready to plan events. Okay, so we are just bringing the joy. And we also have just conferences and informal meetings. And our team, we want to be visible. So we are here. Talk to me. What do you need? What's going on? And then the other piece is that we have over 30 of our scholars have a parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, cousin who are employed by Ethos. So the feedback comes on both sides where someone like myself who has children here,
right.
we can say, mom hat on, here's what I'm experiencing. How can we make it better? Or connect with those other staff members and say, are you feeling this too? Because there's a delicate balance of being co-workers and colleagues as well as you being in charge of the education of my child. So we're able to get feedback from all angles all the time and also supporting the people and keeping the people at the root because only feedback and critique is not a way to sustain in the field of education. So we also make sure we have all that joy happening and all that community building
Yeah.
so that there is a balance.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned y'all first were K5 and now you're but now that's switched to K4. So then are y'all all the way 5 through 8? Or y'all building where we at did y'all just jump feet first and like we'll just do all?
No,
Okay, what
slow
y'all do?
growth is the name
Okay.
of the game. Okay, so
Okay.
we've been building since 2019, adding a grade level every single year. So our current sixth graders have been with us since kindergarten, and then
Okay.
they'll grow the
All the way.
school up to eighth grade. So we have
Okay.
K through 4 here, and then 5 through 8 on the other campus, with it only being half filled right now with five through
Got it.
six.
Got it. Are they pretty close? Just for curious, like the
12 minutes
campuses?
Depends on where you're from. If you were in New York, you're like, that's far. If you were in Atlanta, it's like, yeah, that's close.
That's
So
fine. I know.
close-ish. But I like the separation a lot. Like I actually love having two distinct experiences for the kids.
Yeah,
But
they
if
feel
you're a
like
parent,
they went to middle school. Yeah, yeah,
exactly. They like
yeah,
went away and still see the
yeah,
same faces.
yeah. But still convenient for parents who have to do probably still two drop off and pickups, and it's like I can have my kids in both places and don't have to
That's
pick and
right.
choose.
That's
Love
right.
it. Dream. Dream. Okay, so we do the sandwich thing, right? We start with a positive, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the challenging. But don't worry, I'm going to have another sandwich where we get to go back to the positive or the joy
No
in
problem.
Ethos language. So, thing you're really proud of. What is challenging? What is challenging about your job, your specific role? You are CEO of this organization that is, is slow growth, but growing. Like, I mean, just every grade is its own. Adding a grade is its own challenge. So, yeah, what's been challenging in this season of your role here at Ethos?
Yeah, I'll go back to the transition. There are a lot of highlights of how people are handling the transition, but change is not easy. And this year, we've implemented a number of new things, new people, new curriculum, new structures, new systems. And in the field of education, a lot of change all at once can feel really overwhelming because it's already a very hard career. It's very
Yeah.
challenging, it's very personal, and your personal success is tied into the lives of these little people. And so you want to make sure everything is done well and right. And when you're navigating change, it just feels uncomfortable. So I will say that's a current challenge, not only of mine, but just watching my people navigate a really challenging season. We went from a very small, close knit team to now having two campuses where people are going between the two campuses. You may not see that person you've been working with for years daily. And that is so important to have people that you identify with and you connect with in your workspace because it just helps make the work even sweeter. So we have folks going through that. So it's just a very personally challenging season for so many people that I'm supporting and navigating. And for me, because I've always been able to have the hands on, I've been here since we opened. And now I have to not be somewhere, right? If I'm at the middle school, I'm not at the elementary school. If I'm at so that is just personally challenging. The other thing in my position, being the chief executive officer, there are a lot of things that come my way that are things to fix, right? And so when you have constant things to fix, you wonder what is working, like what is not needing any fixing, because there's always going to be this seesaw of what matters to who when and navigating that. So I will say what I have chosen to do is prioritize my personal care in this work so that I can keep doing it for the long run. Being a mom of four, I shared with you the commute that we had for years to get to this community that we love so much. And now we're moving. So that's a win. But it's just challenging sometimes to take care of yourself when you are
Yeah.
pouring so much into the many buckets that need to be filled for the sake of education. So I'm navigating that. I'm working out. I am moving closer and also really prioritizing does it mean to be myself in this season to support the folks I care so much about.
I'm going to need to ask, tell me more question because I think
Okay.
that's equal parts this podcast for me is this work is so hard and it can be so easy to become your whole identity, right?
Yeah.
Because the work is so pressing and the the hurdles that y'all are having to like I mean it's just people's real life. Like anytime, I
Yep.
mean, I know doctors feel this like it's like you are dealing with somebody's future. Like
Yeah.
how well they are able to do in this school system will then allow them to set whether or not what kinds of paths they have ahead, right? And it feels very daunting.
Right.
So I know it's easy for leaders to kind of just throw themselves at that. And then I watch leaders become parents,
Yeah.
and it just adds a layer of like, okay, but I am more than just the school leader. Like I now have to make sure I get home and take care of my kid and make sure I'm investing and setting up all of their paths for
That's right.
whatever that future would look like. So, you mentioned working out, which is like really great. And for our listeners, women in our age, we have to move our bodies. Mobility is important. Getting protein is important. Lifting weights is
Yes.
important. Cardio is important. It's like I'm like, can we pile on, please, more
Yes.
important things just for our physical bodies to continue to function?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So good job. Good
Thank
job moving your body.
thank you.
But what other things are you doing to help make this work sustainable so that you can continue to show up for your people at the school building, but then also show up for your people at home and show up for yourself?
Well, it's a good question, but I don't have a good answer to it just yet because I'm in that journey. The
Yeah.
workouts just started in June, and it was just a choice that I made to be like, I gotta find the first thing, and then the next thing, and the next thing, and the next
Yeah.
thing. But I do think it's that awareness that it's a need, right, to be balanced, and an awareness that there has to be a priority on you as a person and figuring
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, since I've been in education, I've always been looking outward of what can I do for this next person? What can I do for you? And as you mentioned, when you have children, it's especially consuming mentally of how do I keep this little person alive? Like how do I make sure they
Yeah.
are healthy and functional
Yeah.
adults in the future? And that's a really big weight just inside the house. And so right now in my season is an awareness that I need to find something, some space for myself. And then when I show up for my community, that it is like this joy to be there. So
Yeah.
I'm able to come to this space with smiles because I'm able to go behind closed doors and watch my rom-com movies
Mm.
and scroll TikTok and go for a walk with my husband and do date nights and watch my kids play football. But I also personally am seeing the joy of being a part of the community that I wanted so badly. So I wanted this. I wanted to be in a school space that I enjoy working with the people I'm with, that I enjoy sending my kids here. I enjoy connecting with families. I enjoy going to football games. I am moving in a neighborhood that I know at least 10 of our families live in, right? So
Oh,
there is a lot of joy that I personally am feeling because I'm a part of a community, and this is what I
yeah.
wanted.
Yeah.
And as a person, I'm just figuring out what do I need though to make sure that when I show up as a person, I'm good, I'm whole,
Yeah.
I'm fed,
Yeah.
I'm nourished. Eating breakfast is on my next list of things to do for myself, as well as drinking more water. So that's what hopefully in 6 months when we talk again about where are you in your self-care journey, I will say I am working out, I am reading books, I am drinking water, and I'm eating breakfast. Okay, so those are my goals.
I mean, those are good goals and doable. You can do that. You
I
can do
think so.
that. I appreciate and think it's really wise for you to have set yourself up to, it's like, you're going to be at the school building. Fill it with people that you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
You
Absolutely.
know you're going to be at the school building. So move into a community where you get to also enjoy and see them as like, and just like this intentional curation of a community in which I'm happy to spend 10, 12 hours a day with because
That's
I
right.
enjoy them and I'm going to curate an environment that I feel comfortable in, my kids feel comfortable in. And so when those two start to blend, it's not as big of a problem, right? It's like, or it's actually that you're bringing those two worlds together instead of trying to always keep them separate. It's like, I don't want
That's
them
right.
separate. And some
That's
people
right.
want that separation, some don't, right? And so making a place where you can feel good about is great. It's lovely. Okay, so the other question I always ask my school leaders, because I think it's important to call out. I think it's important for leaders, um, because it's hard and and you can get inundated with quite a bit of negativity at sometimes, right? Or it can become overwhelming, and you forget, like, wait, I'm actually really good at this. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
here's again, not all of it. Like, we can't all be good at all the things of our job, right? But there is a superpower that makes you perfectly equipped to lead Ethos. And
Yeah.
so I would love to know, like, what is that? What is Danielle's superpower? The end. Yeah, that's my question. Full stop.
Well, I appreciate it. It depends on the hat. That's my superpower that I'm putting on. So I would say, as a school leader, if I go back to 2019, one thing, and you named it, that I was really intentional about was this building of community. And the best spaces that I have been in school wise are spaces where I feel a sense of community, whether I was a scholar or observing or a student teacher. When there is this connection between the school and the families, it just feels good, right? And it feels like any possible. I would translate my superpower being creating that. So when I first moved to Atlanta, I was moving from Chicago. Atlanta is very different. It's a very different culture. It's a
Mhm.
very different set of values for people here in a very beautiful way. So very family oriented, very community driven, but also the unique aspect of everyone not being from here. So initially, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Growing up, everyone was from Milwaukee. I had zero
Interesting. Yeah.
access to friends who were from other places unless I went somewhere else and met them. It was not happening in my hometown. And so in Atlanta, it is wild to me where I can talk to a family that, oh, yeah, we're from New York. We're from Wisconsin, too. We're from Chicago. We're from California. And all of them, though, are seeking a community, though, here. And you can no longer do that based off of a sports team because, whew, the drama, wear the wrong shirt. And it's like, but you also have people wanting to connect, especially for the sake of their child.
Mm,
So when I first moved down here, I just did a listening tour of understanding the people here. Like, what are you looking
yeah.
for? What do you value? What are you scared? What are you fearful about? How can I partner? Right. And so
Yeah.
I was seeking community as well because I was now joining this new city, this new area. And I was also at the same time building ethos and doing enrollment work. But I know that I could not do this work well without understanding who was looking for a school like Ethos and what has to be true for them to feel connected.
Yeah.
Once I did that work, it felt so natural just to talk to people about being a parent, being a mom, being a new community member, and then translating that to what can be true in the schoolhouse of bringing people together and that community growing and growing each year. Now, I will say that I've witnessed folks adjust differently to change because every year we're bringing in new people, and every school is, right? You got
Yeah.
new kindergartners, people are graduating, it changes. And when it's sweet, you want to keep it just like that, but it's impossible because people change. We change.
Yeah.
The curriculum may change, the needs may change, but it is this underlying, like, how do we come together? So I love the fact that I'm able to be a mom and an admin and be able to speak both languages of what has to be true for someone to stay here. What has to
Yeah.
be true as an educator to stay in a space? What has to be true as a mom to stay in a space? What has to be true as a mom who educates to stay in a space?
Hmm.
And being able to leverage that of getting to know my people, responding to my people, and giving them what they need, even if it means that we are not it sometimes,
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
is this understanding that I want the very best for you and your family and your people. And I hope that we are a part of that village, but that doesn't mean just for this short term. It has to be someone you go back to regardless of where you end up going. That's what community is. It also empowers the people to be community people. So you cannot consume community. You have to be a part of it and pour into it and help it grow. So it is activating my teachers, my families, my scholars of you are a part of something really great, but you're just not a passive member. You are a
Yeah.
creator of this experience. So what is your role? Are you the cheer person? Are you the critique who kind of makes sure that we stay aligned? Are you the observer who comes back and makes it better? So you have to have a role, and to be passive is not to be a part of the community. And I think our families really corral around that, and they feel very activated. Our staff, they feel very activated. And I really appreciate what that looks like when they help make us better.
I love that imagery of being active versus passive when it comes to community specifically. And yeah, you're right. Like if you're not engaging it, then you're not going to reap any of the benefits of it either. You really aren't, because you're not going to see the value that it brings by just kind of consuming. So I
That's
love
right.
that. Okay, so then is there a resource? Is there a skill? Is there some sort of hack? What are you doing that's like helping you sharpen and refine your superpower on a daily basis to make sure that stays at the forefront of the work that you're doing? For
Yes, absolutely. So there are two. There's one that's an actual resource. So I will
Okay,
say, anyone in the field of education, Yardsticks is an amazing text. It's an amazing
okay,
book
yours.
when you're thinking about the entire child. So to be able to be credible with a parent, you have to see a child for their entire self. So you cannot just lean in on what they're working on or lean in what they're really good at. As a parent, and the really great parents are always thinking, how can I support them in being the best them? I don't want
Yeah.
them to be a me. I don't want them to be a you, but I want them to be the best them. But there's a science to it too of like, yeah, they're going to be their best. But biologically, there are some things that they're going through, or developmentally, there are things that they're going through that we as adults can respond to help them be the best them, and helps us be the best us too when we were
Right.
engaging with them. So that has been a wonderful guiding force for me to make sure I know and understand deeply who my people are. And
Yeah.
I include children as my people. Like, I want to
Hmm.
understand how they respond to things emotionally so I can support the teachers in saying that tantrum was not about you, or that tantrum was because of you. So, and then, like, how do you respond to that? Because perfection is not the goal, but you do want to get better and to understand them.
Yeah.
And for them to understand you, we all have to have a level of eagerness to figure it out, figure
Yeah.
them out, figure out how we can come together. And then on the other side, a resource that is more like informal is this active listening tool or skill to be able to really hear what someone is saying. In the field of education, a lot of things come out emotionally. So you hear a lot of just like either I'm really happy or I'm really not. And so
Yeah.
if you only hear the emotion, you can't really hear what they're trying to say or what they're advocating for. And so a resource for that would be the people actually, like listening to what they are actually saying. So a
Mm-hmm.
parent being upset with me about car line, mhm,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that is not what they're communicating. They're not saying this very real thing should not exist because how else would you get your child to school? Okay.
Right.
But they're probably saying, I am frustrated. I am driving my child to your school because you don't have buses. I am dealing with Atlanta traffic, which is a hot mess. And then I get here and I'm being told what to do. My child is in the back crying or what have you, or asleep or hungry. And I'm personally just frustrated as a person right now. So you just weed through all of that and you hear them say, I'm just frustrated right now, or I need some help, or I need some solutions. And when you talk to that part versus the emotions, you've built some connection there. So
Yeah.
I would say learning how to be an active listener in my role has been really important for whatever stakeholder I'm talking to really hear like what are you really talking about? What are you really
Yeah.
saying? And 90% of the time it has nothing to do with me. So I
Yeah.
like love releasing that and instead focusing on what I can help with
Help with.
and taking that work on.
Yeah, yeah. Do you do any trainings for your staff? Because obviously this can't fall on you. Like you cannot be the. I mean, as you mentioned, right? Like you can't just be the only one who's contributing to community and the only one that's like you're not in all the classrooms. So do you do since Yardsticks is an important book for you in this sense of like active listening and letting that be a lens in which you try to keep on when you're interfacing with folks. Is there a professional development or is there any sort of education you do for your staff so that they can help partner in a lot of that and helpfully, when they're interfacing with disgruntled children because they didn't
Mhm.
get their snack in time. They're behind schedule with their eating. They need to.
Yeah. Yes, a lot of support is in place by the team. But I will say, and this is advice to any organization, when you hire someone with the mindset to receive that, it is just an easier process.
Yeah.
So we start with our interview process of asking the questions around who are you as a person and how do you engage with scholars, parents, peers, folks who are with you, folks who you feel like are not with you. And we
Hmm.
listen for people who are speaking the same language.
Yeah.
So that is the first level. So there is this level of filtering of who is coming into the building, adult wise, educator wise, to make sure there's
Hmm.
alignment at
Yeah.
first. And then after that, it is like sharpening the tool as it makes sense for that person. As a team, we did read Whole Brain Child and we read
Mm.
Yardsticks. We put it in front of our families. We trained them on how to receive their child too, which
Mm.
requires trust because as a
Yeah.
mom, how dare you tell me how to parent slash I don't know what I'm doing at the same time, you know? So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's myself. Danielle's had of like
Yeah.
being a mom of like I want to learn, but also don't think that I don't know anything because that's
Right.
part of my life. So just being able to educate them as well, so that the teachers are not the only drivers of active listening and responding to your child as a whole child, and we have some
Hmm.
common language or common practices in place. We have a really robust coaching team too, and they are able to get to the person as a person and be able to support them and what's happening, but a lot of it is easier because we have folks who are aligned and eager to do that work
Yeah.
or that awareness. And like I mentioned before, we have a number of staff members who are parents of ethos scholars. So when you humanize the work and say, how would you want to be spoken to, or how would you want to be received, most times I have a staff who will say, oh yeah, you're right, like I would want
Yeah.
this, I would want that. We'll give that to this parent too, because
Yeah.
they are on the same page
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
wanting that as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not alone in my work, but the great thing is I have many folks who are doing it, training it, coaching it, calibrating it, because of how we hire and bring this community together. And I'm not sure if you can hear the joy outside, but
I
that is
can.
Recess walking right past my window. So
Oh, I love it. The podcasts are so fun because you can't, I mean, y'all have to do your interviews in a school building.
that's right.
And usually it is joyful. Like it's usually screeches of laughter as they're, yeah, on a recess, like on a playground, which is great. I love it. Oh, I feel like I had a question to follow up. Hold on, let me get there. Oh, no, this is just so this is a little bonus question just because you are a school leader and mom of four, and your oldest is a teenager, I think you mentioned, and your youngest is three. So you have the full age range. Like you are getting
Yeah.
it all right now. Um, I know there are a lot of leaders who, again, have transitioned from, that they're coming, they've been in this, they've been in education, they've been a school leader, and now they have kids.
Yeah.
What just, I know you talked, we know we did some of the like sustainability questions before, but maybe just what's maybe a quick parenting advice for a leader who is a first time parent and just how they are able to just, okay, you're going to make it. You can do this and you can do it well, just off the cuff. What, anything?
I love off the cuff questions. I will say that if you had asked that question, when I had my first child or when we first moved, like every answer is different because of
Yeah.
the chapter of life and what's required. But looking back, what I have learned, especially with my 3-year-old now, is that I have to make sure that I am aware of what I need to show up well for them, especially.
Yeah.
And I want to be even more clear about that. I have been in environments where it's very hard to be a parent and an educator, like very hard, whether it's the schedule or the flexibility needed. Because when they are sick, I have to go and be a parent, and I do
Yeah.
not want to leave a team hanging, but I will choose my child, right? And like,
Right.
how do we normalize that in the workspace?
Mm.
Especially in schools when this work feels so make or break and your home feels so make or break. And I will just say that there are environments out there that normalize that and they make
Mm.
it easier to be a parent and an educator. And I would encourage you to explore those options if you're not able to have both hats where you are. So making it work for too long can build up this level of regret or guilt, right? Of like, I'm not being the best mom I can be, or I'm not being the best educator I can be. And instead, like, find that space that says, like, I think it's beautiful. I think it's a gift for
Yeah.
you to be a mom and an educator. And here's how we can support you and get better. So that's what we value here. I think I was one of the first staff members with children, and then one of the first staff members who had their children here. And one thing I was not very loud or quiet about is that I'm a mom first, and I love it here, and I love you all, but they are critical for my overall well being.
Right. Yeah.
So I will choose them, and it has to be okay.
I
And
love
doing the
it.
same thing for my staff. So if I have a
Yeah.
teacher who needs something to be a parent, I'm going to prioritize that, hear that, understand that, and give that to them because for them to be great and whole, they have to be seen as a whole person too.
Is there an institutional like policy or something that y'all have done or created that has allowed that to where people do feel beyond just like lip service, right? It's like I say that
Yeah.
it's okay, but to be able to show no, like, no, really, it's okay for you to be out with your sick kid because here's all the things that we have in place to make sure the school's running just fine. Like your classroom's going to be fine, or your teachers, if you're like a coach, right? Like they're going to be fine. Do y'all have any tips for other school leaders that might be, I want to get to a place where we have that kind of culture, but I don't know how to get there because it is such a hard thing to when a teacher's out.
It
It's so
is.
disruptive.
That's the two truths there, right? I
Yeah.
think when I hear that question, I reflect on what we are doing, and it is how you respond,
Yeah.
not like what you have in place at times. The PTO policy is the PTO policy. Is not, I haven't changed it because I have more parents on staff. I have changed how we respond when a teacher reaches out and says, I have no choice but to up and leave, right? I have I have to go and get this child. How we respond is critical. So you do
Yeah.
not say, wait, do you have your, hold on? No.
Bye. Yeah.
It's an emergency. They have to go. And
See ya.
also it not feeling like I don't have any children. So do I not have the same response? No. Your emergency is your emergency.
Yeah.
Their emergency is their child. Your emergency may be your dog or a door. Or so it could be whatever. And
Yeah.
like validating what it is as a person that you need in that moment. So it is this delicate balance of just responding to them in a way that's appropriate and
Yeah.
validating and trusting. And if there is someone who abuses that, then you handle that as a one off. But if you assume everyone is going to abuse whatever policies you have in place, then that trust is loud. That lack of trust
Mm.
is very loud. to me as a staff member, and it doesn't make me feel comfortable seeking support or advocating for what I do need. So I would just say overall, like, what do you need as a person? Let me understand that. And then these examples, we talk about being a parent, but we have folks who are new to working. We have some very young teachers I've never had to navigate working and bills. Let me help you. And I'm not
Yeah.
the resource, but I can connect you, right? And understand, like, yeah, that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Same thing with folks who are new to Atlanta or car issue. It's just so much that comes up as
Yeah.
a person, and
Yeah.
how you respond to it has to be on a level where you see them as a person and trust them as a person and a
Mm.
professional. Like, what can we do? But please do not pile on any guilt. Like, when you leave, we won't. Don't do that. I'm already feeling bad enough already. Let's move forward, and I can be better for the next time. So I want to model that to my leaders and make sure that they treat our people like people, so that they can keep pouring into our scholars and also keep building the community that we're so proud of.
I wish I could just stop right here, but I'm not going to. Have one more question. But that
Okay.
was beautiful. This is my last, and it's an easy question. My business is, it's CheckBox Pro, right? So we love to check off a box. But what is one box, Danielle, big or small, personal or professional, that you hope to check off today?
Today,
Today. I like to keep it small,
today,
achievable.
I'll go personal.
Okay.
My birthday is coming up, and today I'm going to say or plan what I'm going to do for my birthday. And even though I may not like completely check it off, because of course there's like smaller check boxes after that,
For sure.
but I'm
Yes.
going to find me that beach today, and I'm going to name that beach as my birthday location or destination. Gonna
Today.
pick my beach, and it could be 5 hours away, it could be a 10-hour flight. I don't know where I'll end
Well,
up, but I'm gonna find me a beach.
I love it. Good for you. That's a great box. That's a
Thank
great box. Awesome. All right. Well, listeners, if you want to connect with Danielle and the work that's happening there, she's on LinkedIn, of course. They have a website, which I'll link all this in the episode notes. So if you are curious about how you can infuse joy into your school's culture, how you can balance being both a mom and a school leader, like, it's possible. There's hope. Like, you can show up as both in both spaces. And then if you just are curious about what it looks like to be an active listener and like bring that into your school and your workplace, I'll link those two books that you mentioned, Yardsticks and Whole Brain Child, because I've heard of one. I've been introduced now to Yardsticks thanks to you, so I will be checking it out. But thank you so much, Danielle, for just giving me a little bit of your time on a Friday. I really appreciate it.
thank
Thank
you.
you for the work that you're doing. It really is inspirational to be able to get a chance to hear your story and all the great things happening in your Atlanta neighborhood.
I appreciate it. I always rub in my affirmations so it sticks. So I thank you so much for that.
Awesome. All right, listeners. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we will chat with you again next time.
Yes, thank you.